Hi there, my name is Toby, and on this video I want to talk about advanced arm swinging. And this is a very interesting method of training. It's taken quite seriously in internal Kung Fu styles. There's some different styles of internal Kung Fu that do this. And you also see it even in Tai Chi, some quite well-known internal Kung Fu styles. But there are some very specific ones that do this sort of training. And what I'm doing here is just completely freestyle. I'm just swinging my arms about. And it looks a bit unusual, it looks a very odd thing to do. But it's tricky, and there's a great benefit to it. You see, what I've got to do is try and maintain a relaxation in my shoulders and my elbows, my hands, my wrists and my fingers. And then I've got to throw my arms about. But how do I do that? I have to do that by controlling the spine, the movement in the spine and the movement from the hips. So the arms are loose, and I've got to create the movement in the arms from the spine. Now, they're not completely loose. It's very difficult to do that completely loose freestyle. I've got a certain amount of control, but I'm trying to relax them more and more and more and more. And you can see here some more well-known actual exercises. This is a sort of Shaolin arm swinging exercise. But you see it's creating a rhythm, creating a flow from the spine out through the arm. And what it's doing is creating a very powerful blood flow. That's one thing that's happening. It's creating a flow of blood, and it's creating a movement in the lymphatic system and the bones. I'm loosening up the bones and loosening up the joints when I do this. And this is useful for martial arts. Again, if you're a fighter, you might see this looks a bit crazy to do this in martial arts. But don't think of this as fighting. This is just simple body dynamics practice. And the usefulness comes because you learn how to use your spine, your torso, to generate power. See here again, you can see the arching and flexing of the spine to swing the arms. I'm dropping the arms down totally relaxed. And what happens is you get a whip. You get a whip at the end, and here again, side to side, I'm creating a whip. Swinging the arms loose, but the whip happens as the force is transferred from the shoulder to the elbow out to the wrist. And where does it come from in the shoulder? It comes from the spine. From the spine it goes to the rib cage, and the rib cage goes to the shoulder. And now here again you see I'm creating more wild movements, all different random ones, left arm, right arm, trying to do something different. So I've got to create different movements from the spine to generate this, different stepping. I've got to shuffle about, move the legs. So you see I'm creating a movement from my hips, swaying through the spine and twisting from the spine to create these different swings into the arms. And these look like strikes. You can of course have strikes like this. And of course this is a very powerful strike. Very powerful strike. Now again, also swinging some of the legs in. So you can do leg swings as well as arm swings. They're a bit harder to do because you've got to try and relax the leg and only swing from the hips. So you've got to swing from the hips, loosen up the knee, loosen up the ankle, and swing about. The power comes from the spine, transmits out through the hips to the legs, and again the power comes from the spine out to the shoulders and to the arms. Now here you see I'm holding a neutral stance, upright neutral stance. Once I've got this position in my body and I'm on the ball of the feet, you see I'm bouncing high. Then I'm twisting left and right and creating a swing in my arms. And you can see they become like jelly. I've done another video about this. Conor McGregor is a very famous fighter who does this sort of exercise as well. So he proves that it's very useful in martial arts. It's a method of generating power. Now all you have to do is then control this power into a strike. So what I'm doing here is not really fighting, I'm just generating power, but I'm learning how to generate power efficiently. So it comes from the spine, whips out through the arm, through the elbow, through the wrist, and flies out as a whip into the fist. Now this is another little exercise I'm doing here. I call this snake stance, but I'm balancing on the instep, curling my toes under and balancing on that, and trying to hold this structure through a dynamic stretch in my legs. So here this is about strengthening up the legs and stretching out the tendons in the legs. I've got to control from the hips and the ankles, you see, and it develops a strength in the legs, strength in the toes. And you need all that to create a bounce, a spring in the legs. You see, the power comes from the legs, this bounce in the legs up through the spine and out into the arms. And now what I'm doing is taking a little bit further into something a bit more like martial arts, a snake style Kung Fu. So it's just freestyle movement, twisting and turning like a snake. And really what I'm doing is putting my whole body together, like the whole body is a single snake, and I'm trying to feel this inside. And this is the important thing to understand with this training. It's about feeling. I've got to feel the tension, I've got to feel the stretch, and I've got to feel the relaxation. So this arm swinging is about relaxation. Leg swinging is about relaxation, letting the blood flow. Now here this is about more movement. I've got a little bit more control, a bit more isometric tension. I'm stretching. I'm feeling a stretch through all my joints, a stretch through the spine, twisting that stretch out to the fingertips, out to the legs, moving around in all different ways. Again, freestyle. You can see some traditional kung fu have got moves like this. But this really, you can think of it more as dancing. But the focus I've got is on the spine. I'm trying to feel a stretch through my spine and a mobilization from my spine. So I'm arching the spine in different ways, twisting and turning the spine, but trying to extend that movement out into the arms and the legs. I'm creating a flow. This is a slow whip. You see, when you do this flow fast, it becomes a whip. Here I'm just practicing it in slow motion. I'm feeling a resistance, a drag. You see, there's a drag to the movements, like I'm moving in water. And it's important, you see, it's not just random movement, it's movement with this specific body dynamics, trying to maintain alignment and create a flow through the body from the spine outwards. Now I'm doing it here lying down, very, very relaxed. The arms and legs as relaxed as possible. I'm trying to just use the spine to move about, arching and twisting using the hips and the shoulders, controlling from the belly, the obliques, controlling from the rib cage, just rolling and twisting, trying to generate movement from the core outwards. You see, it also uses the psoas muscle. The psoas muscle levers your legs up. So when you bring your thigh to your belly, that is using the psoas muscle. But not only that, not only I'm trying to move from the spine, and again you'll see some of this in Sistema, a Russian internal martial art. I'm trying to stretch the body. I'm trying to stretch the hips and the shoulders in a relaxed way. So it's a very, very pleasant thing to do. This is like trying to fall asleep. I'm falling asleep on the hard floor, moving about, rolling about in my sleep, trying to feel it. Feel a pleasant stretch. It's very beneficial, very efficient. Now you might not do this in public, it looks a bit odd, but you can do this in a private in your own home, and you see how enjoyable it is. You can just get into a very relaxed state of mind. And this is very efficient, moves the blood, moves the lymphatic system, stretches out the bones, stretches out the spine, realigns your spine, because of course you're lying down, you can have a certain amount of relaxation. But here you see I'm creating a dynamic stretch, a real arch in the spine, but I'm putting pressure on my shoulder as well. I'm stretching out my shoulders by using the ground. There's a pressure from the hard floor, and I'm using that pressure to and my body weight to create these stretches. And I've got it in the neck as well. You'll see the neck relaxes on the floor. Here you can see the neck. Very much like yoga. You can see the child's pose in yoga. So you can also think of this as dynamic, relaxing yoga. Very, very similar, but there's no specific posture. I'm just following the feeling. The moment it becomes unpleasant, I move. So the idea is to keep moving, keep the blood flowing, keep the energy flowing. And here it's also grounding. Lying on the earth, very, very good for you. The energy grounds into the ground, and you can let go of a lot of stuff. Very good for letting go of stress, letting go of tension. Okay, this is a bit of an unusual video. Do check out my channel, and I'll leave the links here to my basic exercise number 1, where you can learn how to do arm swinging. It's one of the most efficient, if not the most efficient exercise you could possibly ever do. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in one of these other videos.